Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to the second series, to the second episode of this webinar series. My name is Imran Abdallah, and I have with me today Enid Kanyiri. Enid was one of our speakers during the November 2019 conference, where she was talking about, she presented about the topic of ergonomics. It was a very interesting topic. I learned a lot of new things, like the fact that for the ideal desk and seats setup is such that I believe your elbows are supposed to be at a right angle to the table, and your feet are supposed to touch the floor while you're sitting. I believe that's how it's supposed to be. Your feet, your hands are supposed to be in such a right angle, such that your forearm and your back arm is supposed to be in a right angle. So that was something I didn't know before, and it made me question the setup of my own small home office, because for me to have my arms at a right angle, I find myself having to stack books on my seat. But doing so means that my feet are off the ground. So it's a struggle that people of medium and short height can relate to. But meanwhile, if you can hear me, or if you can't hear me, please let us know in the chat below, so we can try to fix that. In the meantime, I would like to welcome Enid Kanyiri, who is going to talk about a similar topic, or actually the same topic, ergonomics, but this time as related to working from home during this time of coronavirus lockdowns and quarantines. So I think without further ado, I would like to welcome Enid. Enid.
Thank you, Imran. Yes, my name is Enid, as you have heard. I'm a physiotherapist in occupational health and safety. And today we'll be discussing about ergonomics during quarantine. Due to the infectious coronavirus, we found ourselves flat-footed and we had to work from home. Our children had to study from home. And as much as we were excited at the thought of, working from our couches or from our beds in our pajamas all day, we were oblivious of the fact that definitely our homes were not designed for this kind of working if we were not working from home from before. And therefore, there are risks that came with it. And that's what I want us to discuss tonight and see how we can prevent some of the effects that come with working from home, especially the economic effects. But first of all, for the sake of everyone who might watch this or listen to this, what is ergonomics? Ergonomics, as defined by Occupational Safety and Health Association, is the science of fitting a workplace to the user's needs. And when we talk of the science of fitting a workplace to the user's needs, it means every tool or equipment that you use on a daily basis for your work affects you. Yes?
Sorry, we don't see your presentation.
Oh. Let's see. It's not shared on the screen.
Not at the moment. We see you. Yeah, now it's coming there. Thank you.
Okay. So, but you've been hearing me, right?
Yes.
So I can continue from here. Yes. So I was defining ergonomics. Yes. Ergonomics, as defined by Occupational Health and Safety, is the science of fitting a workplace to a user's need. And when we talk of fitting into a user's needs, we mean every equipment or tool that you use on a daily basis is supposed to help you be in the right posture, be it with the knife you're using, if you're using your knife frequently, be it the seat, be it the computer, anything that you're using should be placed right and should be at the right place according to your body measurements and according to the way your position, either you're sitting, standing, or even lying. And once we understand what ergonomics is, we are able to prevent most of the injuries at workplaces because we are able to adjust our equipment and tools to fit us and to work efficiently without straining our muscles. And also ergonomics puts into account that movement is necessary because with ergonomics, the rule thumb of ergonomics is you're not supposed to be in one position for long. Therefore, you have to keep moving because the body is framed in such a way that it needs, it's structured in such a way that it needs continuous movement. So when we talk of risks of working or the risk involved with working from home, what are these risks? First of all, it is poor posture. As I said, we were all excited. I mean, it felt easier to work from our beds, from our couches than on a desk in the office. But definitely these beds and these couches cannot be able to hold our bodies in the right position for long unless some modifications are done. There's also the risk of long hours in one position, which is the same as in our workplaces. Then there are physical risks like the lighting. Now, if you're working from home, you're likely to be working from the bedroom, from the dining table, from the sitting room, which most likely the lighting was not ideal for the laptop light, or it was not ideal for books or writing. And therefore that is also a risk. There's also the risk of more noise in the house. There may be children, or maybe your environment around the house is not calm enough for working peacefully. Therefore, there comes also psychosocial stress. Psychosocial stress can come from the lighting itself, from the environment you're working from the noise, from the disturbance, you know, from even the anxiety of not knowing what is next with the COVID and with the work stability. Now, because posture is key in ergonomics, we will discuss more on posture tonight. We'll get into details of what is posture and how can posture be improved for our efficiency and productivity at work. Posture, according to American Chiropractic Association, is the position in which our bodies hold while standing, sitting, or lying. Most of us, when we think about posture, we normally think of sitting on a desk, or when we are working in some construction industries, drivers. But even while standing, even when sitting in a restaurant, even when lying, because we lie most of the hours of the night, we're supposed to be resting and recovering our bodies. If we do not do it in the right way, then we cause fatigue and pain in our musculoskeletal system. Good posture is the correct alignment of the body supported by the right muscle tension against gravity. You know, when an ergonomist or a physiotherapist looks at a person sitting or standing, sometimes it reminds me of when a scientist looks at water. For us, we look at water and see a liquid. But a scientist is likely to look at water and see 2 hydrogen molecules and 1 oxygen molecule. For us also, when we look at someone standing, we are thinking if the head is leaning forward, there's some instability from the normal asymmetry of the body. And if this person keeps leaning forward more and more, they're even likely to fall. You know, there's the symmetry of the body such that the muscles are in the right tension, not to be forced to have some extra tension to hold you against any gravity. There's gravity, there's symmetry, there's so much working together just to hold you in a standing position. Just like for your finger to move up and down, there's a lot of coordination from your brain nerves all the way to your muscle to tell you that finger go up. Such fine movements, how much is involved? It's the same thing. There's so much involved into the symmetry, gravity of your muscles and bones to just make you stand. And once you understand that, then you will understand why it is important to have a good posture so as to not to cause other effects. For example, it is important to have a good posture so that to decrease the abnormal wearing of joint surfaces. Because if you're not in a good posture, you're likely to put more pressure on your joints and they wear out. You minimize injuries as an effect of reduced stress on the ligaments. The soft tissues, the tendons, the ligaments are more strained if you're not in the right posture, because they're trying to work harder, to strain harder to support you in that conformed or that posture that you're forcing the body into. A good posture also allows muscles to work efficiently. They're not given that extra force. Therefore, less energy is used and therefore less fatigue. And eventually, you will have less muscular strain and you will not get these pains and disorders on your muscles and joints. So what are these postures that are risky? This is one example. I'm sure this is one posture that we are all likely to be getting ourselves into during this quarantine and working at home. Would want to sit on our couches more and have our laptop with us as we watch Netflix or do other things on the TV or whatever else we could be doing. And so what is the difference between these two postures? There's one that is ticked, meaning it is correct posture, and there's one that is crossed, meaning it's a wrong posture. So let's discuss why this is a wrong posture. One, the head is not supported and it is leaning forward. So there's a likelihood of a loss of muscle tension on the upper back and the neck to keep holding you like that for long. Two, the shoulders are relaxed, but they're also not supported. So the likelihood of a lot of muscle tension to also hold the shoulders neutral for long. Then let's go to the elbows. The elbows are in the right position. Yes, they're at 90 degrees or a little more, but they're also not supported. So definitely there's also some force, some tension to keep up with that position, and you're likely to move or get fatigued at some point. Then you realize the knees are straight, they're not bent. And that is not, a knee is a knee joint. It's supposed to relax in a flexed position of 90 degrees. If it is not flexed, it is not relaxed, and therefore it is not in a neutral position and is likely to get strained at one point. And this is the correct posture for being the opposite of the one. There's neck support, there's elbow support, and the knees are flexed. So I hope up to there, we are getting to see what is a right posture and what is a wrong posture. Secondly, here we have standing posture. Let's first discuss why this is a bad posture so that we can go to the good posture. This is a bad posture as well. You can see the burning places. They're highlighted because those are the places that are straining the most. The head is bending forward, putting a lot of strain on your shoulders and chest. The back, the abdomen muscles and the lower back muscles are also strained because there's a lean a bit forward, there's a sway of the back. The buttocks, or what you call the gluteal muscles, are also strained. The knees do not look relaxed, and therefore all the force also goes to the ankle joint. Now, with such a posture, you're likely to get a lower back pain. You're likely to get shoulder pains, neck pains. You're also likely to get headaches because with such a posture, it means the blood circulation is not good. It is limited in some areas because of strain and because the vessels are not relaxed. Therefore, you get fatigued and headaches. Then this TMJ dysfunction, this is the temporal mandibular jaw dysfunction. This is the muscles between your ear to the shoulder, the mandibular area. If you're in the right posture, your chin is slightly higher. And if you're not in the right posture, there's a droop. Like you can see here, there's a droop of the chin here. And in the right posture, the chin is high and neutral and straight. So you're strained, and eventually you can even get dysfunction of these muscles of chewing, smiling, and it becomes a problem. Then the bone spurs. How do bone spurs come about? Bone spurs are abnormal growths of the bones. When you're not in the right posture, there's a lot of strain on your joints. Therefore, the cartilage might wear out, the discs on your vertebral bones wear out, and therefore the bones start rubbing on each other and wearing out. When they wear out, that's where you hear people are said to have arthritis of the bones, osteoarthritis, arthritis of the bone. When this happens, when it is healing, it is likely to have an abnormal growth of the bone. These are what we call bone spurs. And these bone spurs can cause a lot of pain. On any movement, it pinches on your muscles, on your nerves, causing a lot of pain and discomfort. Then there's intervertebral disc damage. That is, again, that I've discussed. These are the discs that protect your vertebral, are in between your vertebral bones for protection. So if you're not in the right postures, they strain, they thin, they wear out, causing prolapse discs. You've heard of prolapse discs, you've heard of spondylolisthesis, that also again pinch on the nerves, and there's a lot of pain that can even weaken your legs and muscles. Then there's fibrotic scar tissue. This is where the connective tissues of your body, because of wear and out, inflammation, they scar and cause a hard tissue. And if you have gone for massage, sometimes the masseurs may tell you there's a knot, and they try to massage very hard to soften that knot. This is what is called fibrotic tissue that is caused mostly by the wrong posture or repetitive movements at a certain part of your body. This is at a point where I can discuss something called muscle atrophy that we will see later, but let me just discuss it here. Muscle atrophy is where your muscle gets bigger. If you have seen someone who has been put maybe with a broken leg and they have been put a cast for 1 month or 2 months, when the cast is removed, there is a likelihood of thinning of that muscle because it has been, the muscle that has been covered and in disuse is thin and smaller, because that means our bodies always need movement and activity for the right kind of muscle tone. So it thins. The same way, if it is overused, then it atrophies, it becomes big. You've seen people who either push mikokoteni for long or stand for long, they have bigger calf muscles. It is just the same theory used for lifting weights to build muscles. Now, if you're using a certain area, even if it is your finger for so long, some of that muscle becomes big to be able to carry out that work, you know, the force and the work that is being pushed to do every other day. There's also high blood pressure because, again, of the arteries that are limited in flow of blood because of the posture, and therefore they have to force blood more, causing high blood pressure. Because of such postures, again, like this one, where the chest, there's a bend forward and the chest is not free and it in its right posture, then there are breathing problems eventually, because the cage, the cage is also like squeezed and conforms into squeezed the breathing vessels. And of course, there is fatigue that comes with bad posture. The muscles are in more tension, they're taking in more force and tension, and therefore they strain, they get into spasms, and you feel fatigued and in pain. So if you are in a good posture, it means you prevent back pain, you maintain proper muscle and joint usage, you prevent spine from forming into abnormal positions that we will see down below just now. There's center of your balance, as we said, therefore there's not much force to fight the gravity and keep you in position. There's reduced stress. You promote efficiency. You promote efficiency of the muscles and bones, therefore they're not overused and wear out. And most importantly, it encourages confidence and good morale. When you're in good posture, you find yourself more confident, more gracious, which is an added and good advantage. So these are some of the abnormalities and disabilities that come with bad posture. The more you keep swaying your back, eventually the body conforms into that and it's used to that and you have a sway back. If you keep pushing your lower back forward, you get what is called lumbar lordosis. So this normally most parents will beat you saying, you know, when you're trying to get taller and you try bending, Eventually, it becomes a habit, the muscles conform, and it becomes your posture, causing thoracic kyphosis. This is what causes breathing problems mostly. Then there's this bending forward of the neck, and eventually you cannot be able to lift. It becomes stiff and conforms into that position, and you cannot take your head forwards. And this again also causes a lot of temporomandibular dysfunction here of these muscles. And this is the right position where every joint is neutral. From your ear straight to your shoulder, straight to your elbow, straight to your knee joint. And what is a correct sitting posture? I think this is what most of you have come across in your offices, that we are not able to adopt now at home. And even in the offices, some of us have these facilities but are not aware what you're supposed to do with them to be comfortable for long in your working desk with the right posture. We see here there's a back support. Therefore, your shoulders are well supported. It would have been better if there was also a headrest, but the shoulders are well relaxed. The arms are also on an armrest at 90 degrees. Mostly it is ideal for an average person, we say it's between 16 to 20 feet from the floor, that your legs are able to rest on the floor comfortably, and your desk about 25 to 30 inches high. Then your monitor should be straight to your eyes so that you're not lifting your head up to look at the monitor, or even lifting down, bending your neck. And it is recommended that it is 20 inches away from the screen. This is where, again, there's usually a rule of thumb, 20 by 20 rule. 20 by 20 rule means 20 inches away from screen, and after every 20 minutes, you blink or take away your eyes from the screen. So the average, again, is put between 18 to 24 inches away from the screen. At home, we are also multitasking and having risky postures in the kitchen. And of course, with our mobile phones, this is now has become a chronic disease. So you'll find yourself cooking and at the same time wanting to answer to your calls, and sometimes they are long calls. Even some people have to have Zoom meetings because they are long. You decide you want to multitask and cook as you have your phone call. In fact, I think this is a better position that many acquired, because most of the times we want to use both hands. Maybe one is holding the sufuria and another one the mwiko, and therefore you're forced to support your phone using your head on your shoulder, causing a lot of strain on your neck. This is what the doctors call the high hunch, and you can see how much force is put on your neck just because of bending forward 60 degrees. Let's see how you're supposed to hold your phone to have a neutral position when having to use your mobile phone. This is now a neutral position. You lift your phone a little higher. It's always better to use both hands such that you're holding your phone with one hand, and if you're typing, you type with the other, so that there's less tension on one. And again, even these holding phones, if you're holding your phone for this long, and maybe it is even heavy, you'll find that's where people get what is called carpal tunnel syndrome. There's limitation of blood flow and nerve impulses to your fingers, and you even start feeling your small finger getting numb. And if you can even get now what is called carpal tunnel syndrome. Anyway, let's see. This now, there's the normal pounds of your head, which is the normal weight of your head, exerting on your cervical spine or the neck muscles, which this is all right. Now, bending a little forward 15 degrees, see how much force of tension you put on your cervical spine, 27 pounds. A little more, 40. 45 degrees, 49, 60 degrees, 60. If you keep going forward, I believe to some extent, even the force of gravity refuses and you have to fall or something. So above 90 degrees, it's not even measurable. So what are the effects of poor posture? Poor posture causes muscle tension, as discussed from the illustrations. Hence, joint stiffness, we've discussed this, joint stiffness, loss of joint range of motion, which causes arthritis. We have discussed muscle atrophy, the abnormal growth of a muscle, just to take up this force of tension. And there's reduced mobility, hence poor blood circulation and nutrients. We talked about this, causing fatigue and headaches. There's back pains, and these back pains, you'll bear me witness that at least 70% or more of adults have had backache at one point of their life. And the biggest cause or the highest cause of these backaches is posture. Then eventually disabilities, what we've seen with kyphosis and lordosis, even carpal tunnel can cause disability of your fingers. So how can we prevent all these disorders that we've talked about? How can we prevent these risks? It's by acquiring good postures at all times and in all positions. Whether you're lying, whether you're sitting, whether you're standing, you should be able to acquire good postures as discussed. Then we have regular stretches. If you're staying in one position for more than 2 hours, ensure there are breaks. Like in the office nowadays, there's this Tabata workout that I will show you a clip on it later on or next, where actually this goes hand in hand with an app. There's an app called ORKING also that you can input on your computer, and it reminds you, it actually alerts you that at this time, it is time to put your eyes away from the computer. It is time to stand up and stretch. It is, so because sometimes we can get lost in our work. Sometimes it is engrossing. You have deadlines to beat. It can also be, work can be interesting and you get lost in it, but you need to be reminded. If you really have to be reminded about this, you can have the apps in your computers or as a group in the office when you resume, or if you are agents of your offices or your organizations, you can advise this and do these exercises as a group or as an individual. Nowadays, there's so much also on YouTube. If you like dancing, if you like, so that you can follow from YouTube, take walks around the house as you balance your also work program at home. It depends on how your work schedule is. If it is an 8 to 5 job, it is just a few meetings, then you're able to balance so that you work without stress and without being in one place for long. You can also modify the ergonomic desks. You don't have to really buy a new desk or an expensive gadget for this. I'll show you some of the examples down below, how you can modify just what you have at home to make it ergonomically ideal. You can also modify your couches or beds by adding a firm board. Don't be fooled by the fact that because you have put pillows, you're in the right posture. Because if your bed is not firm, if there's no firm board on your sit down and it gets, your body puts pressure on it and conforms into a different posture, then it will not be doing you any good. You can also use wireless phones if you have to multitask, such that you don't have to pull, if it is a landline, pull the phone to yourself, or if it is a mobile, have to conform your posture just to keep up with the call. Wireless phones help because you can put loudspeaker and speak when you're doing other work. And this is where, by the way, most of the gadgets have actually evolved, or the technology has involved ergonomics while doing them. That's why you see, even nowadays, the keyboard is aside. There's the mouse to use so that you're able to comfortably maneuver your work positions without a stationed thing. This is all because of involvement of ergonomics. Then you can also have your work schedule breaks. As I said, there's this app, ORKING, that you can install in your computers, and it reminds you of the breaks and schedules for you. Time for exercise, time to keep off the screen, time to reduce your light. It is really helpful and can help you acquire a new habit. You can also compartmentalize your house such that you have one working place that you can improve the lighting with less noise, and you can put your working environment right so that you don't have the stress in working. And also training and education is what we are doing right now. You can educate others, have these trainings for your organizations, whether it is online or physically when physical is possible, so that most people are able to be aware of what is the right posture. Because the problem is, yes, you know, you should acquire the right posture, but how or what is the right posture? So let's listen to or watch this video to help us see what are these stretches that you're able to do at your workplaces alone without even causing so much alarm or attention to yourself, and be able to work efficiently and even longer. So you see, it is possible to stretch every part of your body in just less than 5 minutes, and you feel energized, there's good flow, your muscles are relaxed, and you're able to carry out another 2 hours or so of work. Now, this can be interesting if you are able, if you're in a group in an office, if you're alone in the house, if you're alone in an office, you can do alone. They're even more complex and more involving workouts on this Tabata that is recommended by most ergonomic forums, as because they are good workouts and are recommended for good stretches of the muscles that you can look into even after this from YouTube, because you can actually even do squats from your office if you're used to harder workouts. You can do dips and even leave the office as good as having gone to the gym just from your desk. Sorry. Trying to go to the next slide. Okay, so some of the accessories that you can also add to your equipment, your seats, your desks, so that you're more in a comfortable and in good posture, are things like lumbar back cushions. And you don't actually even have to buy this. You can modify, you can stitch by your tailor according, tailor-made to conform to your body, for as long as it's supporting your back, and most so your lower back. It's important that it conforms to the lumbar part of your back so that it's well supported. You can see this is now as a little more that supports your hands on the armrests so that there's no strain even to your hands, and you can read a book here comfortably for long without feeling much of fatigue and tension on your muscles. You can see here there are some laptop stands so that you can raise your laptop comfortably to your eye level, and you don't even have to buy this if you don't have that available right now. You see, this is right at home. Somebody is just using a board game to lift the laptop, and if you feel still the keyboard is not comfortable, you can use your mouse comfortably. I'm sure this person also has pillows on the seat just to ensure that their working place is comfortable to work longer without hurting their muscles. Here again is someone working in the kitchen. You can see with this person's measurements, even with planning and construction of houses, ergonomics also come in, and measurements are used according to an average person's height and body dimensions, whereby they know now where to put the drawers, to put the sink at what level. But you see, it's hard to be able to fit everybody in the house who is using that kitchen. So they just work with averages. But if you're not, maybe you've not yet, built your house, and even if you build your house, it's not only you in the kitchen, then at least have things to help you instead of reaching out. Like this is not ideal. Not ideal. Not ideal to have to stretch your hand higher because you strain the muscles while stretching to reach. Actually, that is another rule of thumb in the kitchen. Do not twist, do not stretch your muscles longer than they're supposed to stretch. They should always be in a neutral position. So use stools to reach if it's higher. Use pressure mats if you're standing long working. And that way you're able to enjoy and work comfortably for longer without muscle fatigues and eventually disabilities or pains of any kind. It is possible to live a pain-free life. We just need to work on your postures. And lastly, that's why I say movement is medicine. Our bodies were not meant to stay at any place for long. You put your hand in one position for long, the joint becomes stiff. There's disuse of muscles because our bodies are meant to move very often, so as we keep healthy. And it is at this point that I'll invite any questions, if there are any, on the chat, or the participants can be unmuted to ask. Back to you, Imran.
Yeah, thank you, Annie. This is Abdul Qadir. I'll take over from Imran at the moment. Thank you for the very nice presentation. Very informative, very educative, things which we take for granted when we work at home. you highlighted them very nicely. So there are a couple of questions. The first one is from Jacqueline. Great presentation. Would you kindly share the slides? Yes, we will share the slides if it's okay with you. Yeah.
Yes, it is
So
fine.
how can we incorporate this to schools with the online classes? I have seen teenagers with severe neck pain with radiation to the upper limbs.
That is a good question, because actually at this moment we might find that it is our children, it is the students that are more on the computers because they have to be in class probably from morning to evening, normal work classes from home. Well, it's not to say that their desks even in school are very comfortable. So again, we need to educate these children as well. In fact, if this program was also put, fundamentals and foundations of safety were also put in their program, just like home science, art and craft, it would really help the children also be able to acquire good postures, because you find most of them, even in a class of just 45 minutes, they get so fatigued because of wrong postures and wrong desks. It would be very expensive, definitely, to be able to change their desks. But if they were also taught how to sit comfortably with their legs, posture, I'm sure it would even bring up very gracious and elegant adults thereafter with very good postures if they can be able to start them now, of which most of them, because of slanting forward, leaning on the desk, which they think is even a swag to lean on the desk and write, eventually they get muscle strain, less concentration, and even disabilities. They conform their back into the wrong posture, get breathing problems. So I would recommend that we train them. We train them even on how they carry their bags, because even bags change their posture, heavy books on one side, the wrong straps. There's a lot to educate the students on. But for now, as they work from home, as parents, let's make sure, even if they're working from the dining table from home, you have seen this. This is a student actually. This is a student with a laptop and had to just use a board game to lift it, use pillows to lift, to make sure that their eyes are straight to the monitor and to the screen, and their back is well supported. And more so, also teach them these stretches so that after every lesson, they can just stand up and stretch and be away from the screen. I hope that is well answered.
Very good answer, Enid. I would have just said take their mobile phones away from them so that they don't use. But this is something which also teachers have to understand, that the kids sitting very long in this bad position, so that when in classroom situation, the teachers also should be able to step in and tell them, could you sit properly, I'll assume. Okay, another question is from Dr. Ashraf. Thanks a lot, nice presentation. While at home we do lots of work we usually don't do. So this is very normal. When you're at home you do a lot of other things than normal, like doing basic carpentry and even agriculture, carrying heavy materials as well. Knowledge of ergonomics comes in handy. Your comment, please, on that.
Thank you, Dr. Ashraf. I'm glad you're also watching this. Yes, I agree. We do so much in our households that is not even covered here. I think probably we should have a part 2 of ergonomics, because we can also go further into discussing the right techniques of lifting heavy things. We can actually lift heavier things than what we think we can if we adopt the right technique of lifting them. Even just a simple task of making a bed. We sometimes do not take what our house helps or our house workers do, and if they are taught the right postures and the right techniques of doing it, can make their work efficient and can work longer and more productive without hurting themselves and feeling fatigued. For example, our mattresses nowadays are heavy duty. How do we lift them? How do we make the beds? How do we push the beds? Yet we expect too much from them, pushing seats, leave alone even just the technical work that you do of lifting, reaching for barbs. All these, we should know that the right techniques of lifting, which I believe we should cover in the new feature, the techniques of lifting, the techniques of reaching higher heights, which I've said you can be assisted by using stools, and acquiring right posture for just everything that you do, and making sure there's a balance between the work that you do in a day. If you do strenuous work, make sure after that there are exercises to stretch, to balance. But most importantly is whatever you do, there's a right technique. Even the weights you carry, even the boxes you lift, remember, you should not lift them with a bent back. You have to kneel and lift, and there's an allowed weight for every body weight and every person. You cannot just lift anything. But most importantly, it is the technique.
Keep the questions coming. If you have some questions, please write them in the chat. Meanwhile, I have one question to you, Enid. When I talked to somebody about this webinar, and I said we're going to talk about ergonomics during quarantine at home, and the reply I got was that you are living in utopia. Things happen. People do their work, and they've been doing the same this work the same way for ages. So if they've got injuries, it's already done. So is there any salvation for those who already have been doing things the wrong way for a long time, and they already have lower back pain or neck pain? Is there something they can do to alleviate their pain?
Interesting question. Yes, people have been doing things the wrong way for a long time, probably because of ignorance, and some just taking it easily. You see, with the musculoskeletal disorders, back pains, neck pains, wrist pains, what happens is that they're not as obvious. You know, they're those disorders that are not as obvious as having a fever, you know, or losing weight and looking so sick. When you have a backache, someone might just think you're not really sick. That's why when people are not given sick offs from work. Sometimes they just go to the shop, over the counter, better pain, and go home. But you know what happens? As I said, there's these fibrotic tissues, there's wearing out of bone slowly, and this, but the effects, the immediate effects are normally fatigue and pain. Sometimes you take medicine and go, and you feel better and continue. But slowly, cumulatively, it leads to disorders, the disabilities. And you know what eventually happens? At some age, you might not be able to do anything. The damage is so far. And if provoked by anything, because the back is already so strained, the soft tissues, the connective tissues are in bad shape. If there's a provocation of anything, it can lead to a prolapsed disc. It can lead to, you know, if you just have a twist, a broken hip, a broken, it can lead to injuries that are now too bad to be able to recover, especially if you get an impingement, a slip disc, an impingement, and you know your legs cannot work or function normally anymore. So instead of us waiting to get there, we can prevent now. Even if we have some damages, there's someone who said if today we took an X-ray, I'm sure 70% of us, for as long as we are not small children, would not have normal spines. I agree, that is a big likelihood. But we don't have to keep, if now because we have the knowledge, we don't have to keep making it worse so that in future we get these disabilities. We can prevent from now by doing the right thing, conforming the body for as long, even if it takes longer to conform into the right posture, we can do the stretches so that now we can be able to prevent further damages and maintain.
Thank you very much. I don't see any more questions in the chat. So this is your last chance. If you have a question to Enid, or a comment, or you want to share your experience, please do so. Because if nobody has any more questions, then I would just like first to thank Enid for the nice presentations, and we've learned a lot, and learning something is one thing, and then using it is the next step. So let's go use what we've learned from this session and get healthy. The next webinar will be around 13th of July. That's the date we've set at the moment. So it will be around 13th of July. And the topic is most likely will be on psychosocial work environment. So at workplaces, how do we have psychosocial, how do we use psychosocial factors in decision making at workplaces? So it will be interesting. We hope to have a consultant, not a consultant, an inspector from the Norwegian Labour Inspection Authority who works with the psychosocial work environment. That's the plan. But the date is 13th of July. The information will be sent to all the channels we have in good time, so that you know about what is coming up. This meeting is recorded. The recording will be posted in the Oshpro services web pages, where you can access it and go through it again, and we'll make the presentations also available. There have come some new questions. Congratulations to the team. Thank you very much, Felix. Would like to join again in future. Kindly send an invitation. We'll do that. We'll send invitations to all those who attend our event. If you need, if you want to contact us, kindly send us an email to this address, admin without the D there. This is a mistake. admin@oshproservice.org, and we'll put you in our mailing list, so that when we send emails of invitations, then we can get. We have a subscription list. Yes, Imran has.
Look at Apple.
So send us an email, and we'll put you in the list, and then you'll get an invitation in good time, so that you can also prepare your time. So if there is no anything else, I would like to thank you all for spending your time with us, taking your evening to learn something about ergonomics and in OSH in general. And we would like to see you again. Invite some friends, take some friends with you who also will be interested and can benefit in such a webinar. So Imran, do you have anything else to add?
Yes, I just want to say thanks to Enid once again. The thing with Enid, every time you meet her, you learn something new. And that was definitely the case here today. In particular, I really loved that video. I grew up loving the whole concept of exercising. But the minute I began working, I found it a bit hard to find time to work. But now I can see if it's possible, I can do it at work as well. Then I think that video would be very, very helpful. And I was pleased to see that the guys in that video, they were having the time of their life. So I think that challenges the notion of there not being fun in observing occupational safety and health, in worrying about your own health and safety while at work. So thank you very much, Enid, for that, and I hope we'll have you around for the next presentations and for the next conferences as well. And thank you everyone who joined us today. I hope to see you again. Good night.
Good night.